your mother? It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just a trio of feathery brethren weathering any season to see the Eagles eat teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia. Bo, Sheila, and Zach kicking it cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Bo, Sheila, and Zach coming at you with stats and things, flapping their wings.
Statistics, they can be like bathing suits. What they, what.
Finish it up. Sometimes you gotta take them off.
What the hell?
What they show is revealing, but what they conceal is vital, right? So.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a post-game edition of Birds with Friends, 17 weeks after the start of the 2021 season. We are now about a quarter and a half away from the 2021 Eagles improbably clinching a spot in the playoffs at 9-7. Zach Berman, Marissa Morris. Zach, would you call the Giants a clown organization? Would you call them a clown show?
I honestly haven't put much thought into the Giants. I put more thought today into an Eagles team that I don't want to say improbably, but unexpectedly has turned their season around. And now, depending on the result here, they look to be about 70 minutes or so away from clinching the postseason. So a lot to talk about with the Eagles. Haven't put much thought into the Giants. I know what you're referring to. I've been looking forward to reading Dan Duggan's story after the pod, but my focus is on the team that we cover. So,
okay, well, I guess we can talk about the team that you cover, which of course is the Philadelphia Eagles. You were there in Landover, Maryland this afternoon. I was not. They were doing virtual press conferences. If I don't have to go to that stadium, I'm not going to go to that stadium. Watch the game from home. Got to watch I would call it substandard broadcast, but that's okay. You can tell me what you saw from the terrible vantage point in that press box. But Zach, the Eagles needed 3 things to happen. It looks like they're going to get 3 things. They are going to enter Week 18 in the playoffs, locked into either the 6 or the 7 seed. We can get into the scenarios. It looks like the most likely thing is a trip to Tampa Bay, which I know is exactly what you are rooting for. The Rams are also a possibility. Cowboys, an unlikely possibility. But I think just big picture, why don't we just, give a little credit and say, entering this season, I don't think any of us picked the Eagles to go to the playoffs. I think I was the only one who had them with a winning record, but I had them just on the outside looking in. I mean, they deserve some credit. This was an ugly game, and we will get to it because, yikes, the first half of this game. But big picture, how do you feel about just the foundation, the structure of the Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts marriage?
I mean, I would give them more than some credit. I give them an enormous amount of credit. Nick Sirianni for helping turn this season. Yeah, for turning this season around. 2-5. That was a low point when we did that pod in Vegas. The Vegas odds, if you will, probably would have been higher that there'd be a coaching change in a playoff team, right? We thought things would potentially discombobulate at that point because players were clearly frustrated. Fletcher Cox spoke out. That was a low point. Since then, 7 of 9 wins. Sirianni's reinvented the offense, but beyond that, he kept that locker room. They have a really good mix. I know Sheil harps on this about wanting to.
I would love to see Sheil play the harp.
Enjoy the 3 hours that you're with the team, but they're a likable team, as we've discussed on this podcast. And Jalen Hurts has, we spend a lot of time, and understandably so, discussing Jalen Hurts' future and his standing in the organization. The reality is he's going to be a playoff quarterback his first season as the starting quarterback. He's making strides every week. There are some clunkers in there, but overall, I thought
he was very good today.
yeah, he was sufficient. He did not turn the ball over. The pass to Greg Ward was such an outstanding play. I thought he had a third down run there that was just outstanding. There's so much to be impressed with this team. I thought that the defense, once they kind of get out, they got out of their own way after an ugly first quarter. The pass rush came alive, showed more juice than they have recently. So all around, just really impressed with this group. I'm not saying they're going to make noise in the playoffs, but it's like playing with house money right now. They went on a heater at the blackjack table. They got some house money going, and
unlike you in Vegas, much to
unlike
my
me in Vegas,
much to
exactly.
my chagrin.
And so I give them a lot of credit.
Well, on the Hurts thing, not to get into big picture, but one thing that strikes me is you talk about that pass to Greg Ward, and the first half of the season, and maybe even like the first 2/3 of the season, I remember talking about that it was like one of the more disappointing things about Hurts as a quarterback was that despite his athleticism, he didn't make a lot of throws on the run. It was either throw from the pocket or scramble. He wasn't making a lot of plays with his arm on the run, and that has changed over the past several weeks, even as his ankle has been hampered a little bit. And I think that's just one of the many examples of, like, Jalen Hurts, you do see tangible improvement in different areas of his game. We've talked about from last year the turnovers, which he has done a pretty good job of minimizing. The last couple of weeks, he notwithstanding from those fumbles in the pocket, but there are other ways in which he is like consistently making strides over the course of his career, and that's why to me, if the question is should he come back next year, I mean, to me the answer is a resounding yes. Assuming you can't just get some stud veteran quarterback, because not only is he coming back on a rookie contract, but there's every possibility that he's going to take another leap next year. And then, if he takes that leap, how good could he possibly be?
And I don't know if this is a humorous aside because it was a serious situation, but we've spoken about how cool and unflappable and smooth these terms that are used for Jalen Hurts. Well, the video captured by Mike Garafolo of him, going into the tunnel, the railing collapses, fans fall down.
Crazy.
And which obviously I don't mean to belittle it, a serious situation. Fortunately,
I think we can everybody's fine.
Yeah,
we can.
According to Washington, everyone's healthy. But Jalen Hurts' reaction in that moment was like,
yes.
Like if you want anecdotal evidence of your quarterback being cool and calm under pressure, like watch that video. That's exactly what
completely unperturbed, like as if that's exactly what
helping
he was expecting
people
to happen,
up, right? Like that to me, that like show that video to your leadership seminar right there. That's what you want in a quarterback. So very impressed with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that was good stuff. That's the
and credit to Mike G.
Your boy.
The video.
Yeah. Guest at your wedding, unlike Marissa and I.
We don't work with each other at the time.
Yeah, but I mean, you did. I mean,
I was a guest at Mike's wedding.
You still could have done it. Yeah, you could have projected.
If I invited Marissa to my wedding in 2016, she would have had a lot of questions.
I was graduating from Maryland.
Yeah,
that would have been weird.
Why is this creep in Philadelphia inviting me to his wedding? Yeah, so yeah.
I'm sure it was a very fun wedding, Zach.
Who else was at your wedding? Give us a few other fun people.
Who our listeners would know?
Yeah. Certainly our listeners know of the Berman brothers who have appeared on the show.
Yeah. In the media, Jeff McClain and Bob Ford and Bob. Oh, well, I should say Matt Gelb.
Nice.
Mike Seal. Bob Rookover. A handful.
Good crew.
Michael Barkan. Yeah. That was nice.
Oh, Michael Barkan.
Anyways, this is a tangent we really don't need to go down. Let's talk Eagles.
Zach, we've talked like a lot of football for the first 8 minutes of the show. You can excuse
there is so much
brief
to
aside.
Discuss. I think you and I have a little debate to get into too about Sirianni's fourth down decisions.
Okay, let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's just get right into it. Go ahead.
Okay. So, just I'm behind the scenes. Bo and I weren't sitting next to each other at a typical game. We would discuss what our story ideas are, and I had a few story ideas, but a lot of it depended on what questions you can get in. I didn't get to ask Rodney McLeod anything. I had a feature idea with Rodney McLeod. So a different idea I had was on
I almost didn't
Sirianni's
get to ask
downs.
Nick Sirianni something, but then he opened it up to one more question, got my bad boy in.
I almost didn't get a chance to ask anybody anything. The Wi-Fi at FedEx Field.
All the more reason it was that was.
I think
it
so.
Worked out to stay home.
I went to move. I went to sit in a different area, and because I wanted to kind of be away from it, and I don't know if I was behind a pole or something, but my signal was bad. I felt bad about that. Anyways, the fourth down decisions. They scored 2 touchdowns in this game. Both of them came on 4th and goals, and I thought that was noteworthy, and I appreciated your response. You kind of. You gave the devil's advocate point of view,
trying to ask some questions,
which I like because it incited some thoughts in my mind. I looked up some research, or I didn't look up some research. I researched some different items so I thought you made the story better there. But what's the devil's advocate point of view to the 4th down decisions?
So 2 weeks ago when they played Washington, I wrote in the day after that I wanted Sirianni to believe in his offense a little bit more, right? That he wasn't being as aggressive as he should on 4th down. And so it was welcome to see him go for those, but he's still not fully committing, to reference Coach Flynn's thing. He's still pecking the analytics. He's not nesting those bad boys. And late in the first half, it's 4th and 4 in Washington territory. He punts that away, which I think, every indication was that was a strong go according to the publicly available models, and I would imagine that that was a go for the Eagles as well. And I didn't like the 2 that he went for, especially the second one, were, I thought, no brainers. Like, when you're down at the goal line. Now, he hasn't done it all the time, which I know you can talk about because he had this decision in the first Washington game. But when you're down there near the goal line, not only are you going for a touchdown, but you're also, like, the downside is you're pinning the opposing offense, on the shadow of their own goal line to begin with. So it's not like the downside is that bad. I thought they were no-brainer decisions, but you wanted to give Sirianni a little bit more credit for putting his chips in.
Yeah, because I do think, and again, I'm not suggesting that social media or the limited sample size that might come across my feed when I'm glancing at it during the game is representative of the fan base. I would never conflate the two, but I do think there was.
I probably make that mistake.
There was a school of thought from people responding to me that no, this is crazy. They should take the points, right? And in the similar situation,
you've got dumber followers than me.
Maybe so. But
you've got more followers than me is really the answer there.
Look, 10-0 against Washington, or they were down 10-0 against Washington 12 days ago, and they had a 4th and goal at the 2, and Jake Elliott kicked the field goal.
Right.
And so the same spot today, they went for it, and then obviously the second touchdown too, a 4th and goal at the 1. But this season, before this game, they've had 4. And I after the podcast, I'm going to double check to make sure my numbers are okay. But 4 4th and goals inside the 3-yard line. Okay. They kicked the field goal once, which was the game against Washington
2 weeks ago. Right.
2 weeks ago. And they went for it 3 times. 2 of those times, they scored a touchdown, but it was nullified by a penalty.
Okay? Classic.
That was the Carolina game and the Kansas City game. And then the other time was the San Francisco game, that Greg Ward play, right? So today was their first.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Greg Ward play, the Philly special play. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, the Philly special play, not the Greg Ward play. Philly special play. So today was actually the first time this season that they scored a touchdown that counted on a 4th and goal at the 1. And they entered the game as the worst 4th down team in the NFL by conversion percentage. And only 4 teams in the NFL before this game had taken fewer 4th down attempts than the Eagles. So they haven't been particularly aggressive this year. They haven't been very good on 4th downs. And after they failed to convert on the 4th down on the opening drive, which again I thought was the right call then too, I was curious whether Sirianni would overcorrect. And had Sirianni taken the points in those situations, the Eagles perhaps would have won the game still, because the 4th quarter drive would be different, but they would have been playing from behind. And you don't know if they go down, they score a touchdown there. And so I thought getting 14 points instead of 6 points was considerably different. Obviously it's considerably different, but it changed the game. And just, on the quote sheets after the game, Jonathan Allen, Washington's defensive tackle, said that was the game right there. That's what won them the game. Those 4th down.
He said that was the game?
He said it's the end quote to my story here. That's the difference in the game. He said, we got to stop them on 4th down. That's the difference in the game. And then, Jalen Hurts said,
it's a 4-point game. There are a lot of things that were the difference in the game. I mean, if Taylor Heineke doesn't throw an interception, that's the difference in the game.
A 4-point game,
I'm making fun of Jonathan Allen, not you.
When the Eagles score 2 touchdowns and both of them are on.
Yeah, but you could say that about any play in the game in a
Sure.
4-point game.
Yeah, but scoring plays are different than a 3rd and 8 conversion, right? Like those 2 plays resulted in 14 points, and so Sirianni wasn't flawless on 4th downs. I would have.
Well, I think he explained. He explained or sort of tried to explain. If you listen to the way he talked about Taylor Heineke in the beginning of this game and the sort of soliloquy he gave you from his COVID quarantine hotel room a couple weeks ago, Zach, that he was factoring in significantly the play of the opposing quarterback. So that first one 2 weeks ago, he's going up against Garrett Gilbert. He takes the points because he doesn't think that Garrett Gilbert can score consistently against them. In this game, Heineke was moving the ball, especially in the first half, and so he wanted to make sure they got touchdowns. That first one, I gave him a little bit more credit for because Jalen Hurts had thrown his first incomplete pass of the game on the 3rd down before, and it looked like not his best throw. He sort of tried to fire it in for Devontae Smith when he had a little bit of room to lead him, and then he goes for it, which in the past I think he might overcorrect to like the recency bias of that play, and I liked that call. And I said the first 4th down, I liked the decision to go for it. I didn't love the play call. And then somebody was getting on me for saying that the touchdown was like a very similar play call. It wasn't, because the first one, you've got 13 personnel. You're bringing in 9 guys to the box. You hand it to Jordan Howard for his first carry of the game. The other one, you're spreading things out a little bit. You have more room for Boston Scott to operate. So I like that more. And then the second one, like beyond the decision, like what an unbelievable play by Jalen Hurts to get stepped on and still get that pitch out accurately to Boston Scott just in time for him to hit the corner.
I just think that the notion that it's a no-brainer, I don't think it was a no-brainer among the fan base, particularly down 10-0. And then even to start the 4th quarter there, because by the way, if it's a field goal, then I think the score was 16-7, right? At that point, a field goal then makes it a 1 possession game, right? So the fact that they go for the touchdown there, if they miss it there, it's still a 2 possession game. So I will leave it up to our viewers here. Leave in the comment section. Did you think that was a no-brainer, or as you're watching the game in real time, did you have internal debate, or did you have debate with whoever you were watching it with?
Marissa, are we on a 2-breaker tonight, or a 3-breaker, or a 1-breaker?
I think I told you before, we don't have to do any breaks for YouTube. Just they'll be automated in. Yes. Wow. Special episodes. So
how about
no
that?
breaks
What a
on
treat.
YouTube.
What a treat for the live audience.
Yes, and a huge live audience. Shout out to all the sickos. I love it. Keep them coming.
The Eagles are very close to officially locking this up.
And by the way, it wasn't a no-brainer for me because I'm a big advocate of going for it on fourth down. If I was coaching, I would be on the aggressive side. I'd be on the aggressive side on 2-point conversions. But I don't write for myself. I write for my audience, right? And so I try to answer the question for the audience.
Zach, do you think the Cowboys should have to? I mean, the Packers should have to give this game back because they're playing against Sean Mannion. Should it not count?
No, it should. It should count.
Oh, okay.
What's the joke there?
Just the Eagles are playing all these teams with bad quarterback. Oh, the offensive lineman caught the ball. Oh, play after Marissa's heart.
No,
they got to be.
Okay.
They got to be going crazy in the
who is that?
In the Dunn household
Bradbury?
for that play. Fantastic. I think that was their best play of the night. Okay, so Jalen Hurts in this game, Zach, finishes 17 of 16 for 214 yards. He has 44 yards rushing. By EPA per dropback, it was his fourth best game of the season, according to True Media. And I thought he was very good in this game. As a passer, he was much more accurate than he's been at times this season. I wasn't there, so I don't know if he was missing things downfield. Not that I would have been able to see it from that press box, but he looked very good to me. And Sirianni said the thing after the game that Jalen Hurts came up to him, in the second quarter or whatever it was, and said, call what you need to call. Don't worry about the ankle. I'll make it work. I'll run whatever I need to. So he wasn't as mobile as he was, a month and a half ago, but he was certainly a step up from what we saw the last 2 weeks.
I thought he was going to say we're 2-0 with this ankle. We're fine, right? But no, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I thought this was one of the better games Hurts played this season. Maybe not in terms of like the overall stats, but just in terms of the quality of play, the quality of some of the throws, the quality of the
yeah, even some of the misses were like the deep one down the sideline to Devontae Smith. Devontae got caught up just a little bit. It looked like that could have been a potential holding call. That other one to Devontae, that was just a nice play by Corn Elder. I thought that was a nicely lofted throw. I thought he made good decisions and he made really good throws. And then that play, the rollout to Greg Ward, he let us know that the operation was late getting in. He didn't know what the play call was. He just sort of called a recess type play, and people checking in on Shields' crystal bald eagle prediction. And I think that was for an entire drive, not just for a single play. So I'm sure she will be mad at me for this, but I think he will not get credit for that.
I also think that was the headset going out, right?
Yeah. Not just like the play not getting in on time.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So this wasn't a technology malfunction. This was, the operation wasn't working on the sideline. So
a viewer said that there was also a Bo and a Zach in the press conference today.
Yes.
That's for the same game, right?
I believe it is. And Zach has been outpacing me by like an unbelievable and embarrassing degree. I believe Dennis is keeping track. It's like 20 Zachs and 4 Bows.
But I think it was as long as it was like 15 or something, right?
I forget exactly what it was.
Wow, Bo.
But yeah.
That's how we got to have Dennis on.
Yes.
I think we're going to try to have Dennis on Tuesday.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But that pass to Ward, I thought was a game-changing play because look, that's
a huge play.
That's 3rd and 14 there, right? If they don't convert that, they don't get that second touch. We're never talking about that second 4th down decision. They're kicking a field goal in that spot most likely, right? So and then they are playing down at that point 16-10. So I give them that throw there. I was considering that being my story too, right? But I kind of feel like I fall in the trap of writing about Hurts every week. And although my first week as a professional, as a professional football reporter, as a professional reporter covering football, I was covering college football at the time. There was a quarterback controversy between Sean Glennon and Tyrod Taylor at Virginia Tech, and
Gerard.
I was and I was trying to pitch a story on if there's any Virginia Tech listeners, you would remember Orion Martin, right? He was a defensive end that they had, and my editor said you can never write about the quarterback too much, and that was the fall of 2008, and here we are in the fall. Well, now the winter of 2022, and I think about that all the time. You can never worry about the quarterback too much. So,
and look how far it's gotten you.
I get to do swoopers forecasting. Yeah.
Nick Sirianni pronouncing Taylor Heineke in a bit of a weird way. Did you notice that?
Yes. Yeah, but
what did he say?
Far be it from me to rip on anyone's pronunciations.
What did he say? Heineke or like
Heineke, I believe.
Heineke?
Yes.
I mean, What are we doing, Nick? Although I think that's a good, like, subtle way to get under the opposition's skin, potentially. I guess you run the risk of, is this bulletin board material or is this annoying them to the degree that it's going to affect their preparation for the week?
So Gannon always
does
purposely
mispronouncing things.
Yeah, Gannon does the number. Gannon's like, 88 over there, right? Like that kind of thing. You got to worry about 18. You got to, so that's. What
do you make of? I saw some chatter and actually, big flex here. Multiple people texted me some thoughts that Jonathan Gannon wearing the sunglasses today was a little bit extra. How did you feel about that?
No, first off, it was sunny there. It was like 60 degrees and sunny.
Okay.
But I know there was some chatter during the Denver game as well, and I think what can sometimes be lost in translation, if you will, is like they're out on the field at 10 a.m. right? And so.
What is that? How does that affect whether he's wearing sunglasses at 3:30?
Well, so I think once they're on, they're on. Like
why?
I don't think he's why because it's like he's not thinking about it thereafter. Yeah, he's been wearing the sunglasses all year. Jonathan Gannon from
they're prescription?
I don't think they're prescription.
Okay,
but I don't know. I mean, actually, I have no idea if they're prescription or not. I don't want to say that. But
here's my
he's
question.
Known to be a stylish guy.
Do you think he is aware of the chatter about his sunglasses? Do you think that has reached him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Good question to ask at the next press conference.
I don't know if I would burn a press conference question on that one, but
that's the thing. If it was in person, you could get away with it because then you could still get another question. But in virtual, when you know you're only going to get one, do you want to burn one there? I don't know.
Yeah, it's much harder. Yeah.
Really tough life that we're living.
I wouldn't say tough life.
Very pained. Yeah, these tough predicaments. I guess just in general, Zach, what do you make of these slow starts here? I mean, the Eagles go down 10-0. Yeah. They've been outscored 25-7 in the first quarter over the last 4 games. Slow starts both on offense and defense, and the defense in the beginning of this game. I mean, Sirianni can say that Heineke was dealing, and he made a couple nice plays against pressure with some sort of lucky, fluky throws, but he also almost got picked off. The Eagles it's the classic. Were they trying to do something with the way that Gannon was starting that game defensively, or were they just getting outplayed?
I think they were just getting outplayed. Now, there were a few passes. There were a few plays there. It wasn't necessarily the first drive. Maybe it was the second drive. Derek Barnett comes through untouched almost, and Heineke gets off a pass, and it's just like a throw it up there pass, and it turns into a conversion. I thought he had some good calls a few times, but overall, I don't think the defense was good enough in the first half, and I think the slow starts. I'd say
a lot of 4-man pressures with one of the linebackers coming in this game that was effective in the second half.
Well, so they had a weird alignment going on in the Jared Patterson's touchdown pass on touchdown run on the opening drive. They had Cameron Malveaux as the 4-eye there. No disrespect to Michael Dunn's friend Cameron Malveaux, but I'm not sure that I want him as my interior guy in that spot. Jannard Avery just got pushed off Yeah, he just got pushed back. So Kerrigan started the game. Okay.
Yeah, we got to get into this.
My read on Kerrigan starting the game because he was first one in warm-ups, and my read on it was that Barnett didn't practice all week, so they've been going with. So this is going to be a bigger Kerrigan game. I expect.
Just as a refresher, Barnett was on the COVID list. Didn't come off until yesterday.
Yes, thank you. That was my. Just like Shield accuses you sometimes of like using inside jokes that everyone would know.
Yeah,
I tend to say stuff sometimes, and like I think everyone remembers all the news and information.
I mean, I'm the one who's talking about Casey Tuhill all the time, so I think
no. So anyways, Barnett didn't get activated until yesterday, Saturday, and so I'm like, all right, well, this is because there was chatter. Was this a sentimental decision? Kerrigan going back to Washington. Shield and Bo aren't very much into that storyline. Don't think our readers are into the storyline, but maybe inside the locker room, it's a big deal. Who knows? And I'm like, no.
I don't think so.
I was like, this isn't sentimental. This is because Barnett hasn't practiced. Kerrigan's – but then Kerrigan barely played thereafter, right? So maybe they saw him out there and they were like –
yeah.
No. Or maybe it was the sentimental thing.
Except at the end of the game is on the line. Washington has the ball down 4. Like, this is the game, right? And the Eagles start that drive with Sweat, Barnett, Milton Williams, and Javon Hargrave on the field. So no Fletcher Cox, which I thought was notable. That 3rd and 10, they pick up on that little dump off to John Bates. Yep. And I thought that was, not Gannon's finest moment, like the sort of soft coverage that they played on that play in particular. Then it goes to the 2-minute warning. The Eagles come out of the 2-minute warning. They just had a rest, and it's Cox, Hargrave, Teron Jackson, and Ryan Kerrigan on the field, and they get caught. Like, Washington picks up a few first downs, and they have these guys still on the field. They can't get them off the field. I was thinking they should have called timeout. They had 3 timeouts just to get Ryan Kerrigan off the field. And they gained like 40 yards just by being able to play against those Trashida Jones, Roberto Garbaggio pass rushers. So,
that was a good observation.
Ryan Kerrigan's like continuing presence on this team is like a significant factor.
I saw you tweet that out, and I'm gonna go back and watch that. I was gonna say after the pod, after I do some research after the pod, I will go back and watch that because I didn't totally pick up on that at the time. But that's you can't have that happen because look, the game's almost, that almost cost
Joshua was their best player in this game.
Yeah, Sweat was really good, right?
I think he was the best player on the team today.
A sack and a half. He's up to 7.5 this year. And
he was dominating. He was like that was a borderline game-wrecking performance, I would say.
Had a big PBU. Or a pass deflection, I should say. I thought Sweat was all over the place.
He was held a couple times and went uncalled.
Yeah, so a lot of credit to Sweat.
Do you see Ron Rivera just whining and complaining as if his thumbs hurt about the final play of the game, or not the final play, but the interception? He thought that should have been PI. Give me a break. Guy's been whining nonstop. He gets the league to move a game. He thinks he can get anything changed by the league.
I didn't see that, but I thought it was a great play by McLeod. I didn't know if he had it at first. And
why I knew he had it?
Why?
Because 2 weeks ago against Washington, when he had that interception that they called an interception on the field and then got overturned, he didn't celebrate because he knew he didn't get it. So I trusted his celebration.
Yeah, so
I think he's an honest celebrator.
Honest celebrator.
He's not. It's not a soccer game.
Look,
where he's trying to dupe the officials.
This is 2 game clinchers now, from him, and I know he had that post last week on Instagram. It's sentimental for him.
You're all over the Instagram posts. I give you credit.
A year past the injury, he's still. I don't want to say rounding into form here because it's late in the year. But maybe getting his legs underneath him, number one. And then I can tell you from past experience and discussions with Rodney and people in Rodney's family that like playing in the DMV, playing down there is significant for him. He's a Maryland guy.
DeMatha man.
Yeah, DeMatha. I was thinking about it. Not to give a personal side here, but I remember running the FedEx, or not literally running, heading over to FedEx Field for something after doing a Rodney McLeod piece back in 2008 or 2009. It was, someone can probably look this up. It was on it was on UVA building a pipeline with the DCAC, which is like
I think I like link this story in an athletic story at one point.
No, this was probably a different one because this wasn't as much. This was on how he was one of a few players from the DCAC that UVA had, but and here
What's
I am
the
now.
DCAC?
It's the Catholic League in Washington, D.C. But anyways, all these years later, not all these years later, but 12 years later, I'm still writing about Rodney McLeod. But I know going back to that area,
there is a castle on McLeod,
is significant for him. So I imagine that there's a lot of excited people in the McLeod family.
There must be on McLeod 9.
That's a good line. If you wrote about McLeod, you can use that.
McLeod Atlas.
Okay. You can go with the puns here.
Yeah.
DMV, by the way, is a term for the Washington D.C. area. It's the district, Maryland and Virginia.
Right, because D.C. itself, Washington plays their games in Landover, Maryland. It's, awful. D.C., come on. What else on offense? I think, the Eagles started this game going 13 personnel heavy, 12 and 13 personnel heavy. They were playing with multiple tight ends a lot in the start of this game. And I think, we can't read the coaches' minds, but to me, this was like trying to get some of those proverbial body blows against that Washington defensive line early to open things up as the game went along. And then in the second half, they moved more to 3 receiver sets and they had a little bit more success running the ball. It still was not their most, this was their least successful running game in the second half of the season. They ran for just a total of 118 yards on just 3.5 yards per carry. Boston Scott leads the way with 14 for 47. Jordan Howard did not look good, I thought. 11 for 26. He had like a couple okay runs, but looked a step slow to me. And I actually thought the offensive line as a whole, this was their worst game in a while. Jordan Mailata had a down game and was responsible for several pressures that ended up affecting Hurts and ending drives. Lane Johnson had a couple penalties, got beat across his face on that first 4th down. Herbig was just okay, I thought. Big picture, if the Eagles are going to have a chance against one of these teams that they play in the playoffs, it's going to have to come from their offensive line being great and being as good as they have been the past month or so and being better than they were today.
I agree. That's their only shot, is the offensive line dominating the opposing team. And look, if they play the Bucs, that was up there with the offensive line's worst performances of the season. They really struggled against the Bucs back in, what was it, October? At this point,
6.
Yeah, it was the Thursday nighter. That's gonna be. It's a great observation because the offensive line needs to play better, and we've seen them play better. They have it in them. But really, if the offensive line and the defensive line plays to their capabilities, they're going to be a tough out for opposing teams, because that's what it takes to win in January is strong line play, and they have that. So I think that. Look, I think teams are excited to see the Eagles, right? I know that there's this school of thought that they're a tough matchup for teams because of the way they're running the ball and because they're hot. I think that a top quarterback looks at the Eagles' pass defense and says, all right, give me them. right? But I do think
that's fair.
That you're going to have to be prepared to get in a wrestling match with that offensive line, and there's a lot of teams that don't want to do that, and that can be the great equalizer.
Well, listen, and we can talk about this now, I guess. Like the matchups that they're going to have, as they are, minutes away now from clinching. 8 minutes left in this game, but it's 37-10. The Eagles are going to the playoffs. You're talking about Tampa Bay, Los Angeles, and Dallas. And I think the most likely scenario is Tampa Bay based on how things work out. That doesn't mean it's a cinch, but two things. First of all, in terms of those opponents, Tampa Bay, they've got this weird Antonio Brown thing going on. He's out. Godwin's out for the year. So they're as a passing offense, less threatening than they were in week 6. And right now it's Mike Evans on a naggy hamstring and nobody else. They almost lost to the Jets today. Their defense is, I would say, more of a concern in terms of run defense against this Eagles offense than the other matchup. So that's tough, but I don't think that's a crazy, the world's craziest thing for them to go in and pull that upset. They have the best offensive
line of those 3 teams. They have the best quarterback of those 3 teams. They have the best.
That's true. They got the best defense of those 3.
Yeah.
Well, the best run defense of those 3 teams.
Yeah. So that's the team I wouldn't want to see of those 3.
But strength on strength, if
yeah.
You could be able to. I think you could still run the ball on them, and I don't know. There's nothing. If you're going to say that the Eagles are going to win, probably the Cowboys would be more fun. But ending Tom Brady's season, that's a juicy possibility. That's a fun week, a fun week leading into the game.
For you, yes. For someone
I think fans are.
For
Brady. What Eagles fan doesn't have a disdain for Tom Brady?
They beat him. They won. They're still
to be able to do that again. How fun would that be? I think you're kidding yourself. L.A. Matthew Stafford is playing terribly right now.
Yes.
That's a game you could talk yourself into winning. Sean McVay is a turtle type coach. He's liable to come up with a rotten egg in the playoffs. That's certainly within his skill set. Now Aaron Donald against Nate Herbig, maybe not the best matchup. That would keep Nick Sirianni awake at night, I would imagine. But you take your chances, and then Dallas, that would be fun too, especially if they're. Depending on what happens this week. But to get to my second point, so the Eagles can, even if they lose next week, they still could become the 6th seed. If they lose, the Saints beat the Falcons, and the Rams beat the 49ers. The Eagles will be the 6th seed no matter what happens in their game. So if you care about 6 versus 7, which I'm not sure you should anyway, to me it's a no-brainer that the Eagles should be resting everybody and anybody that matters this week. Do you feel the same way?
From a logical perspective of get healthy, avoid,
does that fly in the face of the compete principle?
The gimmicky injury, yeah, that part of I buy it. But
Jalen Hurts is playing on a busted ankle.
That part I agree with.
Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson.
Yeah, if you're of the school of thought that this team is hot, they have something going, they've won 7 of 9 games, right? Don't disrupt that flow. That part of it, I suppose you could. I don't think
there's any responsible case to be made that they should play guys who matter.
But my guess is that they would sit guys. Yeah, that.
I think you have Gardner Minshew throwing to Jalen Reagor and JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
In the regular season, it's not like you can sit everybody, right? This isn't
true.
A preseason roster. Right. But yeah,
Mailata seems banged up.
Exactly.
Get Dillard on the field.
Some of these positions where you have depth, yeah, you do that. And that's the way I would do it. That I would rest those guys, especially Jalen. I would say, all right, Jalen,
that's the most important thing. Their chance in the playoffs is getting to use Jalen Hurts' legs with abandon.
Yep.
Hurts, Kelce, Mailata, Lane Johnson, Slay,
Mm-hmm.
Cox, Hargrave, those guys can all sit.
Yes.
I think
Now
that's
some guys might want some stats, right? So
that's true.
Yeah. So you know how that goes, but
you know how that goes. All right. Defensively, anything else that we should talk about?
I need to watch the game through that give you a better idea there. But I thought Hargrave was very active. Was that is that something you noticed as well?
He seemed active. Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't knock my eyes out of the back of my skull.
Okay.
But
there was a question there.
If you have questions in the chat that you think we need to address, please let us know.
Avonte Maddox, I thought the pass interference against him was a tough call.
Really tough.
Yeah.
And that was what I meant to say about Rivera complaining about that play at the end. They had one penalty the whole game.
Yeah,
and it was a false start. If that Avonte Maddox one was called, there were a ton of ones on Washington that should have been called.
I don't want to make like the homer comment here, but I thought that was decent coverage there. And then I thought too, Maddox made a really good tackle along. So it was on my left sideline.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was on the TV, but the left sideline,
the far sideline on TV.
Yeah. The Eagles sideline. Along the Eagles sideline, made a big tackle there. I thought
2 tackles in a row right after that play.
Yes. Yeah. Jannard Avery had a big sack. He also had an interception that got pulled back because
very
of illegal touching.
I don't know if I've ever caught a ball before looking interception the way he caught that ball.
Yeah. This was his first sack of the season. It's so
I didn't know that actually. I thought that he maybe did have one.
No, so it's one of those things, and I look up in his bio, he has like 6.5 sacks or something coming into this game. I'm like, wait, really? And then you realize he had 4.5. Yeah. He had 4.5 in Cleveland as a rookie, so he hasn't done much.
Well, they traded him for him.
Yes.
All right, Zach. Why don't we get to the important stuff? What time did this game start?
Well, she'll hit that one.
You know what? It seemed a little late to me. It looked like a 103, 104.
It was a little later. There was a moment of silence. Sorry, there was a moment of silence, but it was that for all intents and purposes, that's a 1 o'clock kick. Shield wins that bet.
Okay, so Shield.
I honestly haven't looked at these yet, so
I'll take you through
I want to know. Yeah.
Shield spent 17 turkeys on the game. Will be played at 1 p.m. How much? Tell us, please. Did that miscue letting him get it for 17? How much did that affect your sleeping patterns over the last couple of days?
So funny story. I tried explaining to Emily what happened. Yeah, because I wasn't upset with my slate. I was upset that I went against I don't want to say went against my principles.
Core principles.
That's strong. But I went against what I thought to do. And so that bothered me about it. So I tried to explain this to Emily. And you've never seen someone either more confused or care less about what's being described to them. First,
I think I probably have.
I think when I first explained this to her, she thought is my job affected by this? Did I do something that I'm like, no, it's just a game we play on the podcast. And she's, oh, okay. Yeah. Let's
I love it.
Yeah, that's exact. She had such little interest in it.
Hard to blame her. Yeah. So Sheila gets one for that. He also had an unreturned punt is spotted more than 10 yards away from where it first hits the ground. He spent 2 turkeys on that. That did not happen. The announcers say Riverboat Ron at some point during the broadcast. I thought for sure that they were going to hit this when Washington went for it on 4th and 5 near midfield. I thought for sure they were going to bust it out, and they didn't. So a disappointing one for Shield there. And then Javon Hargrave has more sacks than Jonathan Allen. No sacks for Javon Hargrave in this game. So Shield gets his one that was a near giveaway, and he got it, so he gets one. Zach, there are more 4th down conversions than field goals made. You spent 9 turkeys on that. There were 4th down conversions. Maybe that's why you were so focused on them in this game.
Yeah, probably so, right?
But that did not That did not hit. You were very close on several here.
Oh, I know. Trust me that.
You had at least one team finishes with a prime number of points. Whew. Eagles are sitting there at 17. It's 17-16. If Washington just kicks a field goal, they're going to get to 19. You've got all these birds in play, all these turkeys in play, but it did not hit. It's a 20-16 final. That was a fun one, though, to have for the first time.
I want to apologize to, there's a reader, and I can't tell you who it is off the top of my head. You sent me
Jeffrey,
a message. You sent me a message overnight with it was a long study of all the games that have ended with prime numbers.
Oh. And what is it, like a 40% chance? What did he say?
I think the reader said it was like a 57% chance. So I felt pretty good about that going into it. I hope I'm not quoting it incorrectly. I'll look that up later, and I will get back to you. Monday is often a day when I kind of catch up on some emails and messages. So I felt good going into that one.
You had Jalen Hurts is the Eagles' leading rusher, and he had 44 rushing yards. Boston Scott had 47.
Yeah,
so you were
there.
4 yards shy of that. I wonder what we would have done if they tied.
Ooh. He's not the leading. Oh, no, he is the leading rusher. I get points for that.
I would have given you that, Zach.
Thank you, Marissa.
Wow.
Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then you had the one that was potentially more of a sure thing than the game being played at 1:00, and that was Casey Toohill has more tackles plus quarterback hits than Ryan Kerrigan. Sacks count as 2. That delivered. So that one, which you didn't want, you were worried about spending too much turkeys on, that one hit for you.
That saved the day for me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So you and Sheila are tied with 1. I had Boston Scott is the game's leading rusher. And these carries that they just gave to Jordan Howard for no reason cost me this. 47 rushing yards for Boston Scott, 57 for Jared Patterson. I feel like they should have fed Bosco more. I'm a little bit upset about that part of the game plan.
He had some juice, too.
He did. Yeah, he looked good. Another near miss. I mentioned 44 rushing yards for Jalen Hurts. I had Jalen Hurts has 50 or more rushing yards. One more scramble, Jalen. Come
Seriously.
on.
For both of us.
4 turkeys on that. Didn't get it. I had the Washington football team has more turnovers than red zone touchdown conversions. They had 1 turnover. They had 1 red zone touchdown conversion. This was a more, not a more or equal, so that did not hit for me. However, I also spent 7 turkeys on the Eagles clinch the playoffs, and so I can celebrate, as Eagles fans celebrate, when this game goes final, a 3-way tie heading into Week 18. It's still separated. It's still all up in the air. You and Shield tie for the lead. Me 1 behind you. Very exciting stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think? Does that constitute an all Dennis selection for Week 18, or do we wait for the playoffs and hope that I win next week? Why don't you and Shield both just lay down next week? Save your turkeys for the playoffs, knowing that it's all going to come down to that. Rest your turkeys like the Eagles are resting their players. All scoop everything up, and then we can guarantee, for the good of the pod, the real drama in the playoffs.
Well, you say that jokingly. I did think, though, that if there was, what you said, are the players going to rest their starters? There was a part of me that was thinking on the car ride down this morning, okay? Well, on the car ride down this morning, if I have a chance going into the playoffs here, does it make sense for me to carry over my turkeys and come with full ammo in the playoffs, or do I try to take the lead this week? So I don't know the answer to that. My DMs are open. You can email me at zberman@theathletic.com. I am open to any and all advice.
You're also going to have, heading into the playoffs, the quandary: do you save turkeys for a potential second playoff game or not?
That too.
This will definitely be discussed with Dennis on Tuesday. We will get the final ruling from Dennis.
All right. Anything else for us to touch on here as we prepare to close this bad boy up?
They're going to clinch. I want to have. I suppose we can have it Tuesday, but I'm curious. Is Nick Sirianni is there vindication, right? Like, was the criticism of him overstated? Because he was the butt of jokes multiple
You
times.
think he's going to wear a Beat Dallas shirt this week and then rest his starters?
Maybe so, but he's gotten like he's been the punchline here. He's been the punchline after the opening press conference, which I thought was overstated. The flower part, but ever since he had that flower speech, by the way, they've been on a roll. So, I'm curious
7-2
what Philly,
since the flower speech.
Yeah, I'm curious what Philly thinks of Sirianni right now.
How could they not be happy?
Yeah, and I asked Nick, by the way, because I was trying to plant the seeds, no pun intended, for this type of story late last week. I was trying to get a question in. Credit to Owie for calling up on me late, and I wanted to know where Nick has grown the most, because we've asked Nick so many times, how's this player grown? How have you seen the development? And Nick spoke about being a leader and that he's really evolved there. And I remember if you've ever read 7 Seconds or Less by Jack McCallum, he has this great expression how like the X amount of inches, I forget how many inches it was, between Mike D'Antoni's seat and Alvin Gentry's seat is all the difference. Like when you're a head coach, there are things that come across your desk that you can't plan, that you can't foresee. And there are things that happen this year that
that's why they say it's a game of inches.
As much as Nick spoke to his father, Fran, or Larry Karras, or Frank Reich, there's only so much, you have to be in that chair to realize what that job is. And I think he's improved as the year's gone on.
I don't think you get points for you saying Larry Karras, just so you know.
I think this is a good time to credit your story, by the way, from the Mount
story?
Union.
Oh.
Mount Union.
Sure. I think the most important thing in terms of Nick Sirianni is like it's very nice that everybody stayed in lockstep. Everybody embraced his core principles. I thought Jalen Hurts said it well in this game, or in the post-game press conference, that he says the same thing every week. You guys ask me questions, I say the same thing. We're embracing the fundamentals. We're trying to get better each day, all this stuff. That stuff's great. The most important thing, like long-term, is that it looks like he knows what he's doing on offense.
Sure. Well, no, I disagree with you, actually. That's not the most important thing.
I think that is the most important thing.
He's the head coach of the football team. He's not the head coach of the offense. He's the head coach of the football team. Yeah,
but that's what he's here to make sure the offense runs.
He's here to be the leader of the football team. He's not here to put his offense.
I don't 100% agree with that. I mean,
well,
that's true, but if he was leading the team and his offense was the bog offense that we saw the last couple of years, we wouldn't be happy, and nor would Jeffrey Lurie. I mean, Doug Peterson ran the team fine.
Not at the end. They went 4-11-1. We wrote a whole story about.
Yeah, but we're talking about like you're talking about like player buy-in. Like that's table stakes, getting guys to play and do their job.
I think I will pound the table for this. When you're the head coach, you're the leader of a group of men. You're not just the leader of the offense, right? This isn't Rich Kotite and not there was the expression like, oh, you're over there with the offense, we're Bud Carson's guys here, right? No, this is, you're the leader of that team. You're the coach of your number one responsibility is the 53 guys in that locker room plus the 10.
Are you pounding the table?
Yeah, it's not. It's more than 10 practice squad guys. No, I feel very strongly about this. I feel very strongly. You make a mistake if you hire a scheme. You make a mistake if you hire a playbook. You hire a leader. He's the leader of this team, first and foremost.
I mean, I don't really disagree with what you're saying. I think if that wasn't the case, like he'd be gone anyway. Like getting players to buy in and building that culture is like that's the job for everybody. But what he was brought here to do is make sure that the offense runs.
Marissa, I'm curious your opinion here.
I'm kind of in the middle. I
football.
kind of see both sides. I know that's like a very lame answer. But I agree that like you do have to be the face and the leader and go out there and, make the guys want to play for you. But at the same time, I think we would be talking about it a lot different if they were 4 and how many games? 18, So I don't know. I see both sides.
They're 4-12 right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if they're 4-12 right now, the guys aren't responding to him, right?
But maybe we don't know that.
I mean, I think you could still like your coach and
Robbie Henderson and the guys in Carolina are talking about how much they like Matt Rule.
Yeah.
Well, some of the people who spoke on background to Joe Person said otherwise,
fair.
Right?
That's fair.
I mean, it's easy to like
people are calling
winning,
Joe Judge every week, telling him that they wish they played for his team.
Yeah, that part of it, I did see that come across Twitter.
There's a comment in the chat that says Dan Campbell. That's kind of true. Yeah. People like
people like Dan
we knew
Campbell.
They were gonna not be great this year.
Yeah, it's not a talented team.
Look, I understand there's hyperbole, and I know I'm playing into Bo's hands here because I haven't seen the whole speech. I've never been, or I've never played in the NFL, but having been in around NFL players for 10 years now, and Marissa can speak to this more than I can because she's around them every day. But I can't see a guy calling up his former head coach twice a week and saying, "I wish I was still on your team."
Definitely not happening.
Yeah. I can't.
People are dying to have Bo comment on that. By the way,
yeah, that part of it.
It's ridiculous. It's farcical. Yeah. I mean, of course he's lying.
Yeah, that part of it's.
They threw for negative 10 yards today. They're awful, and they're going to keep him. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, maybe they're not going to keep him. All right. Maybe you guys are both looking off screen, so I think
I was looking at the score of this game.
Time to wrap it up.
No, I was looking at the score of this game. Yeah.
37-10 with a minute to go. Should we wait until it's official?
Yeah, it feels like New Year's.
It feels like we should wait until it's officially official. Yeah. Okay.
I'm happy for all the sickos in the chat.
For those of you not watching live, there's 1:04 left in the Packers game for the Eagles and me to clinch a point.
So we did have a question earlier that I'm actually curious about. Could this game week 18 be moved to Saturday?
It's possible. It's going to be exciting on Tuesday to really rile up Dennis and ask him about the league's decision to have these 2 games to Saturday, because it's impossible for them to have games on Saturday that don't affect how important the Sunday games are. So maybe they're going to.
And I think Chargers Raiders will probably be the Sunday night game because that's a win and you're in game.
There is a small sequence of events that could happen where the Raiders are in before the game starts, but the Chargers are winning in if the Colts lose to the Jaguars. But yeah, my assumption is that's going to be the Sunday night game also. But yeah, I mean they could do the Colts Jaguars on Saturday and Rams Niners or something like that. But then if the Niners win, the Saints game doesn't matter on Sunday. There's all these different little things. So we can ask Dennis about that, get him riled up. But I think there's a small chance they'll move it to Saturday, but there's no chance it's going to be the Sunday night game.
Do they rest more players if they're playing Saturday?
Well, that's the thing. I'd be surprised if Nick comes out and says they're resting guys. I mean, Nick wouldn't even tell you their playing time for the preseason games, right? So I can't imagine he's going to do so for a Week 18 game. But
I asked him on Friday, and he said we were getting ahead of ourselves, which of course he was going to say, but I had to ask.
But if there's a risk of that, I can't imagine the NFL going to going to prime time for a game when one team's resting their starters. They did so last year without knowing, right? So, yeah, you certainly don't want that to be your feature game. Although people tune into the Cowboys, that's for sure.
You know what? You gotta feel good for Aaron Rodgers. Everything he's been through this year. Cancel culture got the best of him, but look at him now, leading a 37-10 victory, putting a knee on it to get the Packers the number 1 seed. What a good guy.
The Eagles are going to the playoffs.
I'm very happy for all the
15 seconds
sickos
left.
in the chat.
Congratulations to me, first and foremost, for getting this point in Superstore casting. and congratulations to the Eagles fan. It's been a fun year.
It really has been. That's been the and it's. I mean, not to make this about us, but like it's a year when I would have loved to be in the locker room, right? Because
It's true.
It would have been fascinating to kind of see this come together behind the scenes.
especially the like overachieving playoff locker room is.
Yep.
People are excited. That's would have been good.
Well,
we could have had some good Wolf's dens. It's too bad. Again, poor us.
Well, since you guys have one more road trip together, I guess the question is, will you guys be staying at the same hotel?
Are we going to be rooming together?
Yeah.
No, not.
I think that's a big development.
Zach, what do you think? Do we book hotel rooms in Tampa and Los Angeles this week, and then have them be able to cancel them? What do you think? Well, let's go inside baseball here.
If the bosses let us, yeah.
Well, yeah, but the cancellation's free theoretically, right?
I mean, we don't have to get into the specifics of how we,
I think people are very interested.
With the internal system.
Does Philly fly? Does Southwest fly Philly to Tampa? Can we do a free cancellation or what?
Well, there's a lot of flights from. I mean, this is something we can discuss off the air. We don't have to get.
No, I think people are interested. You're interested. You want Tampa?
Yeah, there's some great restaurants down there.
Rank the 6 windows for playing for when the Eagles could play in week 1. What you would root for? Not who they're going to play, but the windows.
Well, last one would be Monday night.
Monday night. That's a disaster.
That's the last one. Sunday at 1 is the preference. Okay. Sunday at 4, I would take. Okay.
What is the Monday?
Oh, you froze on me.
Yeah, he froze on me too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, this didn't happen when we were asking Sirianni the press conference.
That's true. I was asking the Monday. Is it a Monday like 4:00 type thing?
No, it's a Monday nighter.
Yeah.
There's only one on Monday.
Yeah.
There's 2 Saturday,
Monday night
3
football.
Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, it's Monday Night Football.
Okay.
So, and no. Basically,
so then
anything
the first Saturday would also be not so bad.
The first Saturday, no, but that's always like the AFC South.
Yeah,
right.
That's. I mean, who are we kidding?
How many times did we
see?
It's
a bit offensive to be given that window.
Yeah. How many times did we see the Texans versus the Bengals? Andy Dalton versus.
That'll be the Colts.
Yeah. So exactly, they're not putting Tom Brady at the first one there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Tom Brady's definitely getting prime time.
But if it's LA, it's going to be a night game too.
True.
Yeah. So, I mean, you want if it's a prime time one, Saturday night's always a good one.
Yeah, that gives you some recovery time.
Exactly.
Okay. Good stuff, man. Aaron Rodgers. I thought I had one more thing to needle you with, but I can't think of what it was. So.
I can give a funny anecdote that, I think Marissa would appreciate. And this is kind of a behind the scenes here. This probably doesn't reflect very well on to me because I shouldn't be thinking this way. But because I'm probably a little bleary-eyed right now, a little tired, I will share this. So Bo and I team up on the cheat sheet every week, right? And I don't think I'm revealing any trade secrets here. We get credit as writers for subscriptions, as we've talked about on this podcast before. And your subscriptions are by year, okay? And so it resets to 0 on December 31st. And so Bo and I both agree it's better to have it out on Friday morning than it is on Saturday morning because your readership, it has a shelf life until kickoff. Right, no one's reading the cheat sheet the day after the game.
TheAthletic.com/Birds with Friends get you a good deal.
Yes, exactly. And more people are at their computers on Friday. So we've made it in the past years. It's come out Saturday morning. This year we've made a concerted effort to get it out Friday morning. But I won't lie. I texted Bo on Monday, being like, "Do you think we should hold this one out until Saturday morning so we get some January 1st credit on this instead of December 31st?" And Bo gave a good point why we shouldn't. But there was some interest in this cheat sheet, and
Which there rarely is.
Yeah, so
Very
Bo
rarely
texted me today, like about the amount of people who subscribe to it, and my response was, "It's a shame it doesn't count until it doesn't count for our 2022 numbers." So
well, here's the difference. Here's the difference between you and me, Zach. You are operating from a me first perspective here. You're trying to do what's best for you and for your subs, whereas I only have the reader's best interest in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
And for the subscribers to have 2 days to read it instead of one, I thought, it's my job to make them happy. For you, it's just a glory.
Well, no, that's why I said you're right,
endeavor.
and I felt bad that I thought that way, but yeah, I was like, oh, we could have had those subs on in 2022 as opposed to 2021. But anyways, I hope
you will get them tenfold. Come on, Zach.
I appreciate
you have a whole year.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to those subs at the very end, I think we're all going to be in trouble.
Yeah, think about it. Like, you're going to have all this extra playoff subs that you did not think you were going to get.
That's true.
Your stories last year there was the firing of Doug Peterson, so you got that. But there's going to be a lot of intrigue. So everyone go to theathletic.com/birds with friends.
You can do that, and all of us get credit for that one.
All right. Well, we have been given a gift by extending the pod these extra few minutes. Dennis, as December rolls into January, has tweeted out the matchups here for the Eagles. So there are 5 games that the Eagles that will affect the Eagles' opponent next week. Their own game, obviously, the San Francisco-LA game, the New Orleans-Atlanta game, the Seattle-Arizona game, and the Carolina-Tampa Bay game. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 possibilities here, depending on those outcomes for just the Eagles matchups. And in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, they are going to Tampa Bay. In 2 of them, they are going to the Rams. And in 1 of them, they are going to Dallas. In 1 of them, they are going to Arizona. And it looks like, let me ask you this real quick, Zach. Tell me who you think is going to win these games, and I'll tell you what the outcome would be.
Okay.
Eagles, Cowboys. Who's going to win?
This upcoming weekend, not in the playoffs, right?
Correct.
Upcoming weekend. Yeah. Cowboys.
Carolina at Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, unless Tampa Bay's resting their starters.
Seattle at Arizona.
Arizona.
New Orleans at Atlanta.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'll go Atlanta on that one.
Okay, and then San Francisco at Los Angeles.
That's the big game next week, right? That one has NFC West implications. I'm going to go Los Angeles.
Okay, well, in that scenario, the Eagles would be the 7th seed going to Los Angeles.
Ooh,
so
really?
That's your prediction.
Well, I mean, I would predict Tampa Bay based on the probability of it, right? I've learned a thing or two about game theory here.
But not nearly enough. All right. That'll do it. Check out Dennis's work, obviously. We're hoping to talk to him on Tuesday. I think we'll also have one other person joining us on Tuesday, but I forget his name. So good luck.
The outstanding national writer, Shio Kapadia.
Senior national writer. He's very old. Okay. So thanks for listening. Congratulations to all the fans on making it to the playoffs. The surprise in year 1 under Nicky Sirianni.
I think they might have just released the schedule.
Ooh.
Does that say Cowboys?
Oh, yeah, here it is.
Oh,
Cowboys versus Eagles Saturday night.
Saturday night. Oh. Why?
Cowboys versus Eagles Saturday night.
Why? That's so silly.
I was like squinting my eyes to see the TV, and I'm like, Cowboys, is that correct?
It's because the Cowboys are playing for seeding, and if it doesn't affect the outcome of the other games. Chiefs, Broncos, like, what is that for?
Chiefs seeding.
Saturday.
Oh, because Chiefs are trying to get the 1 seed.
Yeah, but like, there's no juice there, man. Oh, that's so bad. Saturday night, you're killing me. Ah, man, Goodell, he knows I hate him. He's doing this just to spite me.
I'm sure he's doing it just to spite you. I'm sure he's sitting there at 345 Park Avenue saying, what does Bo Wolf want?
I think he is.
I don't.
There's no doubt in my mind. I hope Eli asks him about it tomorrow night.
By the way, immortal last words, though, from, I remember saying after, which
Saturday
game was
night?
it? When I said no more primetime games. The rest of our games are Sunday at 1. Well, we had that game moved to Tuesday. All right. And now we get this game moved. And so
All I did was make fun of his chair. That's all I've ever done.
this
I
is
didn't
gonna be
eat
a
his pizza.
It's going to be a brutal podcast on Saturday
Well, let's
night.
just hope they're resting everybody, and then we can write a Nate Sudfeld story.
Sure.
All right. Man, that stinks. What a week!
All
What a
right.
week ruiner!
We should wrap this up here.
What a week ruiner! Oh God! All right. I'm dejected. This is supposed to be a fun. Good thing you told us, Marissa. We would have ended the pod and not had that moment. Oh man, I hate the NFL. All right. This stupid league.
Well, hey,
Okay.
maybe we could get that guy that you didn't mention's name on the pod.
You're right. You're right.
Oh, that's true.
That's
Maybe
good.
he'll make an
Maybe
appearance.
Maybe he'll come to the game.
Maybe he'll come to the game.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, I'm turning it around.
Wow,
Half glass
good for you.
full.
Yeah. He's got no excuse not to come to the game.
Yeah.
I mean, COVID, but what are you going to do? All right. Well, F you, Roger. That'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. Congratulations to everybody again. We'll be back on Tuesday, presumably at 8 o'clock. Enjoy. Thanks to everybody who joined us live. Thanks to everybody who's listening later. theathletic.com/birdswithfriends is where you can subscribe. For Marissa and Zach and Sheil and Elijah, I'm Bo. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. And as always, as Richard says in the chat, we love you, except for Roger.